Hey, American citizens, did you know you support slavery every single day? Especially with harm reduction voting. That's just a fantasy. But let's break this down because the United States of America has a multi-billion-dollar slave system where corporations use slave labor. We're talking McDonald's, Walmart, Cargill, Coca-Cola, Target, Whole Foods. Your grocery run is supporting slavery. The ACLU found that this is worth over $100 billion yearly. But wait, it gets more insane. The federal government doesn't just allow this, they pay private prison companies per inmate they house. We are literally paying them to have bodies for rent, for profit. And here's where the scam is undeniable. Most private prison contracts have a minimum occupancy clause. The state guarantees that the prison will be 90 to 100% full. If crime drops, the state still pays for the empty beds. No big deal. Let me say that again. The government must supply warm bodies or you and me cut a check anyways. Now, the question people are afraid to ask is, who built this slave labor pipeline? Because it wasn't just one party, it wasn't just one era. The 1994 crime bill that exploded the prison population and created juvenile justice systems, that was Joe Biden and Bill Clinton. The incentives for private prisons that exploded under both Bush and Obama, the leasing of prisoners to fast food chains in Alabama, that's been a bipartisan project for decades, you guys. So when people tell you to vote for the lesser evil to reduce harm, I need you to look at this slavery system that we got going on. There is no harm reduction vote that stops the prison industrial complex because they both fucking built it. They both maintain it and they both get paid for it. This isn't a bug in the American system. It is the system. The 13th Amendment literally left a loophole for slavery, and both the Democrats and Republican politicians have turned that loophole into a fucking business model. The private prison lawsuits against states for low bed counts aren't a glitch. They're the logical endpoint of a system designed backwards. The industry doesn't need empty beds to be a loss in the abstract. They need them to be a breach of contract because if beds are empty, well, labor production drops. Fewer incarcerated workers means fewer bodies leased to McDonald's, Cargills, and Walmart. The revenue stream from garnished wages shrinks. The per diem still gets paid. The state pays for the empty bed anyway, meaning me and you, the taxpayers, are now directly subsidizing the absence of slave labor. The corporation gets paid for producing nothing. The occupancy clause triggers, okay? If the state consistently fails to fill beds, the contract allows the corporation to demand renegotiation, higher per diem rates, or even sue for damages. It's a no-lose scenario for the prison company and a no-win scenario for the state or American citizens, which is forced into an impossible choice. Fill the beds through policing, sentencing, parole denial with wrongful convictions, or pay for empty ones with public money. That's our choice. CoreCivic is suing states for not meeting occupancy guarantees, arguing that the state's failure to supply inmates constitutes a breach of contract. The GEO group doing the same, and in some cases receiving millions in settlements or increased per bed rates. Arizona specifically, where the state's prison population dropped slightly and the private prison companies immediately moved to protect their revenue. These lawsuits prove that the system's priority is not public safety. If it were, a drop in incarceration would be celebrated. Instead, it's treated like a business loss to be recovered in court. Where are we? When a conviction is overturned, that's one less body in a bed. Multiply that by thousands of wrongful convictions you already know exist, and you're not just fighting a legal system anymore. You're fighting a business model that budgets for those wrongful convictions to stay in place. Every exoneration is a financial loss to someone. Every commutation is a contract violation waiting to happen. The system doesn't just resist justice because of inertia or bias. It resists because justice is unprofitable. Every single wrongful conviction is a bomb that detonates outwards, okay? The person inside, they lose their life, decades, an entire lifetime stolen, health destroyed, mental health shattered, skills and relationships and possibilities erased. The mother who visits every week for 20 years, spending their savings on phone calls, commissary, gas, lawyers, she dies a little time at each visit. Some die before exoneration even comes. The children who grow up without a parent, school events missed, birthdays missed, the shame and stigma they carry, the statistical likelihood their own lives now veer towards poverty, incarceration, or both, the siblings who lose a brother or a sister not to death but to a living burial, grieving someone who's still fucking breathing, the actual victim of the crime who received no justice because the system closed the case on the wrong person while the real perpetrator remained free and potentially harming others. The community that loses trust, that learns the lesson. The state will destroy you and never apologize. That lesson travels through generations. The exoneree who comes home to no compensation, no housing, no job, no health care, no apology. Free in name only. Expected to be grateful for the return of what was never theirs to lose in the first place. They make billions renting out human beings. We pay them for the privilege. And then you want to argue about which color tie the warden is wearing? Stop it. Stop believing them. There is no such thing as harm reduction voting when we are supplying a slave system and looking the other direction. Prove me wrong.